mean, honestly, I agree with the message that Biden was trying to put out there in this speech, which I also agree. I had a difficult time getting through it. It was kind of boring for me. So
in this video, Ana Kasparian joins Megyn Kelly on the Megyn Kelly Show. Megyn Kelly and Ana Kasparian discuss in this clip the many failures of the Democrat Party as well as dark money in politics. With that, let's watch Ana Kasparian and Megyn Kelly destroy the Democrat Party over their hypocrisy around money in politics and especially dark money.
Biden, but the speechwriting staff of the White House, like they're probably thinking, okay, we've got another week to go. Let's just see what we can do and just let's give this to the boss and let it rip and then move on, right? Find our next job. It was also a bit of like a microcosm of the Biden presidency in that sense, in that I'm sure it was well intentioned, right? And they came in with like lofty goals for it, but it quickly descended into incoherence. And then that was matched with a lot of the hypocrisy, like just the idea of, delivering this message about how America is being controlled by this wealthy oligarchy 1 week after you just hung a medal around George Soros's neck in the White House.
It's a bit rich.
Like that.
So
I'm like, I think as a staffer, one of the things I said to myself immediately upon hearing that was like, who thought that was a good idea to push that, given the optics and the pageantry of the last week? And
yeah, who didn't see the vulnerability?
Right. Nobody thought that would not go over well, and that we'd be called on for the hypocrisy of it. And then
Stand by, let me play that so the audience can hear it. Hold your second thought. Here it is, SOT 9.
I have no doubt that America's in a position to continue to succeed. That's why my farewell address tonight, I want to warn the country of some things that give me great concern. This is a dangerous and that's a dangerous concentration of power in the hands of a very few ultra-wealthy people. And the dangerous consequences if their abuse of power is left unchecked. Today, an oligarchy is taking shape in America of extreme wealth, power, and influence that literally threatens our entire democracy, our basic rights and freedoms, and a fair shot for everyone to get ahead.
They make a good point. Who on earth thought the optics of giving George Soros a medal was a good idea? The guy is literally like the emperor from Star Wars. I probably say evil too much on this channel, but I really don't throw it around lightly when I say it, because I do think there are a lot of evil forces out there. But I mean, this guy might be Satan. I mean, he is an evil person that wants to control people, and every move he makes is in an effort to control. And the amount of money he has is, I think, unfathomable for most people. It's just endless. I mean, that's why he inserts himself in all of these seemingly inconsequential elections around the country, because he has the power with his money to put people in office and smear opponents. But as I've said before, you're selling your soul if you take that money. And it's so funny that Biden says there's a dangerous concentration of power of the ultra wealthy. Are you just learning this, Joe? Because I think anyone with eyes, ears, and a brain knows that this has been the issue forever. You're going to sit there and say that when you just put a medal around George Soros' neck? It's so dumb. I'm not mad at it. It's just so dumb. It's laughable. The funny thing is, I think he's directing those comments towards Elon Musk. Why? Because Elon is on the other side of the aisle from him. And all this time where Kamala Harris raised $1 billion during her campaign, funded largely by a lot of billionaires, you weren't giving this speech then about the dangerous concentration of power. But now one of the wealthiest men is very vocal and on the right. Now you have a problem with it. Got it. Anyway, let's get back to the video.
Keep going, Kevin.
So, here we are where, that they just spent an election where they tried to frame everything as this pivot point for American democracy. And every single public poll shows that people were more worried about the Biden administration and its threat to democracy. So, it just not only I think it's, there's a false sense of alarmism that they're trying to continue to push, but it's just the hypocrisy of the message and how that message continues to land very poorly with the public. It continues to boggle my mind why they continue to push that. And then I think the last thing is
oh yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of empty platitudes. Like Joe Biden's sort of go-to move is to always say, and there's nothing America can't achieve if we put our minds to it. 5 minutes after he just listed all of the things that are sort of dangerous and destructive about what the other half of the country has believes and has essentially taken to an electorate and won on. So I just, and like the last thing I'd say is like, it was 15 minutes long. Most of the people that I talked to about it, when I asked their reaction, said they didn't even get their way through it. Now that's a 15-minute speech that people couldn't sit through. And it harkens back to the the State of the Union speech, which the Biden administration had swore was going to be this, big energizing jolt to the American electorate to reframe the 2020 race. And, all of the reviews of that State of the Union, they all said that that was going to be a game changer for their campaign. 48 hours later from the State of the Union, just like this, instantly forgettable. It's almost like I always call it like cotton candy messaging. Like it melts on contact. No one's even going to remember it 48 hours from now.
Well, I mean, your hips remember the cotton candy, so there's that distinction. Here's one of the things, the galling things. Kevin mentions, George Soros. There's a very
If you like watching videos like this one, like and subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. Let's get back to the video.
long list of billionaires on both sides that make donations, but it's 2-1 Dems to Republicans. It's the Democrats definitely outweigh the Republicans when it comes to billionaire donors. It's to the point where you may remember this moment too, during the Kamala Harris campaign, she went on with Stephen Colbert and they had this moment.
There are quite a few billionaires who support you. You are from Northern California, after all, where they grow them in fields out there. Who's your favorite billionaire? Because we all have a favorite billionaire. On three. 1, 2, 3. Oprah. I'm sorry. I claimed Oprah. You can't take her now.
So, I mean, like, we all know this. So what is it? Why is Biden doing? It's just if you're a tech billionaire and like, suddenly you're part of this oligopoly that's trying to rule America with a tech iron fist?
I mean, honestly, I agree with the message that Biden was trying to put out there in this speech, which I also agree. I had a difficult time getting through it. It was kind of boring for me. So I got through maybe 25%. Tried to watch it multiple times, could not get through it. But in regard to the message that he's trying to put out there.
The guy on the panel talked about how the Democrats try to create a false sense of alarmism. And he's absolutely right. That is a page straight out of their playbook. And they are using it here for all the reasons I said earlier. However, while they're creating a false sense of alarmism, I think they, as a party, are alarmed because of the power and the money and resources that Elon Musk has, and he's not conforming to them. That's terrifying. And then he's aligned with the president of the United States, who for, the first time in history doesn't conform with the swamp, so they're trying to project their fear onto the American people. But like I said, there is definitely a group of the wealthiest people in the world that have more control over all of us than we can fathom. And anybody who thinks that's a conspiracy theory, I'm sorry. Maybe I'll get into it in more detail at another time. But these are the people that want us divided over things that ultimately don't matter, like race, religion. I mean, religion matters, but you know what I mean? They want us fighting with one another, so we're not paying attention to the moves they're making. So we should be fearful of this oligarchy. I just think it's misdirected by Joe Biden because it's very clear he's just targeting Elon Musk. Right after telling us all the things we need to be scared of, then he's like, but this country can do anything. It's like, those two things seem to contradict one another a little bit. Anyway, let's wrap up the video.
In regard to, corporate rule in America and money in politics in America, that is an accurate message. But you both make a great point about how money in politics has corrupted both political parties. And for the Democrats to pretend as though they're totally innocent of this is ridiculous to me, especially considering what we experienced in the last election cycle. I mean, Kamala Harris raised far more money than the Trump campaign did. And in fact, she raised far more dark money than the Trump campaign did. And then she moved forward in essentially squandering all of that money. And I think this past election really shows the kind of grift that exists within our election cycles, because that money gets spent with all these consultants and all these various, PR groups, and the amount of money they charge for their services, which have proven to be a failure in this past election cycle for the Democrats, is absolutely outrageous. And so
Ana Kasparian's right here as far as her take on money in politics is a problem. I don't know how I can disagree. I don't know the solution. I don't know that it will ever change, but it provides undue influence for those essentially that give the most money, as if the candidate owes them something then. I've been talking about recently how the left-wing online loser commentators, I don't know, Packman, Brian Tyler Cohen, Destiny, they've been talking about this well-funded media machine on the right. And I always point out that really the Republicans are ones with all the money, but Kamala Harris's campaign raised $1 billion and squandered it. That's bananas. And I always mention, like Megyn Kelly said, that the number of billionaires that supported each candidate was 2-1 in Harris's favor. And when Ana says, it's a big grift, she's correct if I'm interpreting her correctly, that I think they spend money the same way the federal government does, in the sense that government contracts are always so lucrative because they're very bad or intentionally don't negotiate discounts. So they pay crazy prices for things. And she was talking about consulting firms, but I imagine all the events they put on, there weren't discounts being, floated. So it's a grift in the sense that that money gets funneled to various, marketing agencies, event planning, activist groups, outreach, paying off TikTokers. It's a grift. Just all this money, an exorbitant amount of money, goes to people that are, getting 3 times what they'd normally get for the same services under any other circumstance. And obviously, the dark money is a problem on both sides, but it is, at least in this last election, it was significantly higher on the Harris campaign. So, but we want to hear from you. I guess let me know in the comments. Off the top of my head, I don't have a lot of solutions to getting money out of politics. So I guess my question is, what can we do about it? And is it unrealistic to think there's anything we can do about it? And will it ever go away? Let us know. Anyway, as always, really appreciate you watching, and we will see you on the next one.